What's up, guys? Drew here. Today I want to talk about my personal labels. So I identify with a lot of labels, and many of them are ones that are imposed on all of us by society, really. I am a woman. I am a daughter. I am a mother. I am those things, but they are labels, and they make people think of certain things when they hear them. I honestly don't have a problem with any of those labels. I'm very comfortable with all of them, and it's fine. But then I also have self-imposed labels that I put on myself. And the ones that I want to talk about today are in regards to my spiritual path. So, as any of you who watched my channel for any length of time know, I label myself as witch and as shaman. With regards to the shaman label, I actually have a video on how I came to that conclusion called A Peek Into My Path, so I won't go full on into it, but it's not a path I chose for myself. And standing where I am today, I would choose it every day, every time. But in the midst of different parts of my path and with regards to certain parts of my path, I would never have chosen this path in a million years for myself. I don't know many other people on a shamanic path, but I do know a few. And any consensus between us is that it's a difficult path to walk. It's hard. I have not been initiated into my path by any human being, but I absolutely believe that I was initiated. I became very ill. I had viral pneumonia, and I was sick I couldn't get out of bed for nearly 2 months, for at least a month and a half. It was Christmas Eve when I developed my first symptom, and I knew something was up. And I remember on my birthday, which is at the very end of February, I could get up and go do things, but I became fatigued very easily. I was still coughing and having trouble breathing. So I was still ill 2 months later. I do believe that I could have died, and maybe very nearly did die during that time. All manner of things happening during the illness and after the illness that led me to believe that I was mentally ill. I had serious mental illness before I finally came to the conclusion that it was an initiation, a shamanic initiation. Having said that, after starting this channel, I began to question my label. Really looking at me and my path and how it's evolved over the years, because this was 13 years ago that this initiation occurred. And my path has evolved and changed, and I have evolved and changed and grown. So after starting the channel and looking at my content and myself and my practice, I began to question this title. Am I shaman, or am I on a shamanic path? I have no choice about it either way, which is, I think, why I always gravitate toward the title shaman, because I am what I am. Like, I can't change that. But I can navigate my path. In the beginning, just after my initiation, when I finally figured out that's what was going on, I was okay with the title. It didn't feel uncomfortable. It was very empowering, and it gave me a direction to go. My entire life I was searching. I felt a calling and didn't understand what it was or where to find it, and was looking in all the wrong places. And I felt very lost. But after this initiation and gravitating and grabbing onto this title and this experience, actually experiences many, I felt empowered, and I had a direction to travel in. And I was okay wearing that title, that that name shaman, because I was studying, oh my God, I was such a sponge, studying everything. And I mean, every religion, every spiritual path, any information that came my way, I would gobble it up. And so I was okay with that title. But again, we're 13 years out, and I am not doing what, I mean, the shaman is typically the healer, the counselor, the spiritual advisor, the teacher, all of these things in a community. And I don't feel like I am that anymore. I do feel like I was that to an extent when I was working at the shop, but now I'm just in a different phase. And while during that time and during this time, I have always been a witch as well and practiced witchcraft. And I feel that I have over time settled into that title more. So I wonder if it isn't that I'm a shamanic witch. I've really started to explore this. What am I? What direction should I travel in? Again, at my core, I am what I am, and my quote-unquote gifts and abilities resonate with the shamanic path, and my beliefs resonate with the shamanic path, the beliefs that I've always held. Just having a larger vocabulary to express it through shamanism. But definitely the witch. So what to do? What am I? What is my authentic label? Not that I need a label. Labels can be very limiting. But as I stated, before I had the label, I was lost. I didn't know where to go. And so I just want to, I'm always going to be walking my path, but I can walk my path a little more sure-footedly if I have stepping stones. And so I've been exploring this, and I've been thinking about it. I've been mulling over this, like I said, since October, November of last year. And it just keeps coming back. Now, I have read many, many books on witchcraft, as I'm sure all of you have. I have also read many, many books on shamanism. And I continue to. I continue to. I always want to be learning more. Sometimes I buy books, I'm drawn to them, and then I try to read them and I can't. But then I can go back later and read them. It just wasn't time, as it were, for me. Recently, over just the past probably week and a half, a book has been calling me. It's a book I had gotten and I had begun to read. I had gotten just past the introduction and set it down and never picked it up again. But it's been calling my name. And Friday I went and grabbed the book and pulled it down. The Temple of Shamanic Witchcraft, Shadows, Spirits, and the Healing Journey by Christopher Penczak. And in this book, he is, so far, exploring the similarities. And apparently there are many people, and to me, it's, to me, it is true. I've always felt like, I never put it in words. There are plenty of people who believe that witchcraft's roots is in shamanism. And I never put that into words, but that's how my practice developed, that I said, oh, I'm shaman, and was exposed to the craft and mingled the two together. That's why I could never move into Wicca, but I could incorporate the craft into my practice, because the original witches were wise women and cunning men. And what is a wise woman or a cunning man if not a shaman, basically? The healer of the community, the counselor, the teacher. Shamans work with spirits for either good or bad, that kind of thing. The shaman in many communities is feared, because not only are they the healer, not only can they help, but they can hurt and curse and all that good stuff too. I mean, it's all very witchy. So I'm diving into this book. Apparently it's a year and a day course. I don't know if I'll take a year and a day to get through it. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just going to go through it organically and let it happen. But yeah, I've had this book for at least 7 years and have never read it. But apparently it was waiting for now, because, as I said, I always put them in two separate boxes. There was the shaman and there was the witch. And of course they were both within me. So they were contained in this one thing, but they were two separate things in the beginning for me. My shamanism, my shamanistic tendencies and abilities always influenced and colored my craft. But I think that I have been limiting myself by my thought process with regards to these labels, to these stepping stones, to these identifying markers. I don't know. I'm just sort of working all this out in my mind, and because this channel is dedicated to my spiritual path, of course want to share its evolution, whatever that looks like. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into this and figuring out what's going on. It's definitely a year of movement for me. I just did a post the other day about it being the anniversary of my mother's death and the process that I went through with that, and how I'm just now 7 years in a place where I'm not, like, it's okay. I'm okay. And when my mother died, I shut down. Like, there were a couple years where I did nothing. I did not practice. I did nothing. I say that, but it's actually not true. I did do things. I continued with the shamanism. I continued doing journey and doing shamanic healing with a dear friend of mine and my family, and doing like Reiki and things of that nature. My guides have always made it clear to me that things that go on in this earthly realm, as above, so below, basically. The spiritual shifts are not going to happen until X, Y, and Z line up, and vice versa. And so it's no surprise to me, and it's actually very comforting to me that, you know, the same week that I realize I'm fully at peace with my mother, her death and her, just where I'm at peace. And I can actually stand to have her energy and her presence around me and that sort of thing. That, and welcome it, want it. That I slip into this book and into this new way of thinking and labeling myself and being. This next step in my spiritual evolution. Things on the earthly plane always have to line up. I used to drive my guides nuts, and they were driving me nuts too, because I'm like, an example, I severely hurt my back. I have a bad back. I have chronic issues with my back. And one of the very worst times I hurt it was before my mother's death, and I had thrown it out, just picking up a piece of paper, but I was hurt for 2 years off of that. I was not a normal human being for 2 years from that. And I was getting so sick of it. And, you know, toward the end of that second year, I kept saying, when is this going to be okay? When you help me, I need to be healed. I need healing. And they kept telling me, everything has to line up first. There are certain things that need to happen in your life, in this life, before you can heal. And I healed after my mother died. So, you know, I don't fight with them about it anymore. I'm just to me, it's kind of a synchronistic thing. It's a beautiful thing. The planets come into alignment, you know, all events line up and things fall into place. So yeah, I'm walking into the next chapter of my journey on this earth walk, and I invite you to join me. I will keep you posted with where this takes me and what it looks like. As far as you guys are concerned, I'm sure it won't look much different, because again, these are two parts that are already inside me. I'm just trying to find a way to merge them together, as it were. I don't know if this makes sense to anyone outside of myself, but thank you for listening. As always, I love you guys so much, and I appreciate all your comments and your interactions. Having this channel and interacting with all of you really enriches my life, and I'm grateful. So until next time, much love and gratitude.